What's up everybody, and welcome back to another FSP Transmissions video. Today we have a 1989 auxiliary 700R4 and we are going to be doing a complete assembly today. This one's going to be built up to hold about 500 horsepower. I'm going to show you the clutch clearances and the forward input drum, the forward clutch pack, the 3 and 4 clutch pack. I'm going to show you how to put your Corvette servo together. I'm going to show you how to put that plunger valve in. I'm going to show you how to put a 500,000 boost valve into your pump assembly, how to put your whole entire rotor kit in. Every single thing that you need to know about a 700R4 is in this video. Alright. Let's see what we got today. I'm going to be sent, brand new 10 vane pump rotor. And it's a completely remanned gear body. There's our forward steels, 3 and 4 steels. We got our Corvette servo here. I'd like to have the two compared, but TransStar normally sends me the Teflon rings and seals, which is fine, but it comes in the kit, so why do you need it twice? Boost valve for the pump. And here's our case bushings. We got 5 of them just for set aside. Low reverse steels. And here's our intermediate steels. Here is the cream of the crop here. I know you can't see it, so I'll go ahead and cut it open for you. This right here is what's causing all these 700s to fail. This plunger valve inside of the valve body. I've had 4 or 5 trucks come in here. You put it into drive and the vehicle stack shifts first through fourth. You go back in and put a brand new performance plunger valve. This is a 94.
What does it mean when something stack shifts?
That means it shifts from first to fourth or first to lockup super quickly. Like a da-da-da-da-da.
Oh,
like
okay.
1, 2, 3, 4. And it's all the way in as soon as you touch the gas pedal. And there's our pump bushing, tailhouse bushing, but this plunger valve, yeah man, this is, if you're building a 700R4, spend the extra money, get it from Sonax, get that plunger kit. It really brings these 700R4s to life. I'm a firm believer in the plunger kit and 500,000 boost valve. Now we got some Brave Estes friction packs here. We're gonna get those out and get those soaking for a little while. These 700R4s are a bit finicky, so I like to soak my frictions for a moment. And then here is our deluxe paper rubber seal kit. You can see the servo seals in here. This thing has everything you need to get this 700R4 rubber-wise, seal-wise, Teflon ring-wise, back to working order. And I'm going to go back with a Fel-Pro gasket too, because they kind of cheaped out with the. Here is your forward sprag assembly. Now your windows have to face to the left here, as you can see. And you put this down in there at a slight angle, and then just walk your screwdriver here along the side. Once it pushes down like that, flip it over, put your other retainer in, just like this, and then your cage, followed by a little snap ring here. And this should spin clockwise. Good to go. Okay, we're moving on to our forward input drum. Now there's 3 pistons inside of the input drum. 1, 2, and 3. This is your 3 and 4 apply piston. This is your forward apply piston, and this is your overrun apply piston. You're going to want to find all your seals here that's included in your brand new kit. And I always face them down where the lip faces up towards me, up like this. And I'll show you what I'm talking about in just a moment. Now this lip should face up on both sides. See, there's a little valley in there, like a little, and the lip faces up like this. If you put it on there the opposite way, you'll be able to tell that it doesn't. And it covers this bottom area as well. The surface area on the bottom of the piston covers very well. Normally, if they're wore out, they're really thin, and the line pressure here on this piston, it just blows right by, and that 3 and 4 clutch pack will take a big hit. Alright, this is your 3-4 applicator shell. You start out with that. Then you put your spring perch. Your 700R4 is always a bit wider than your 4L60E. The 4L60Es are thinner. It goes in there just like so. Now scoop that out of the way. This is your housing for your forward piston. And you want to get a little bit of lubrication up in there. And then take your piston and kind of put it in at an angle. and then take your screwdriver and just kind of walk that seal in. And you can do this with a feeler gauge, real thin feeler gauge. I've found the best success with my Husky screwdriver here. Just walk in both sides, nice and slow. There she is. Slide that application shell back. And you want your square teeth on your piston to face up with your applicator shell here that the teeth come up on. And then we're going to slide this input drum over. We're going to get started on it. There's a little O-ring that goes down in there first. Petroleum jelly in the bottom. There's your piston. Put it in there a little bit sideways, and I'll walk it in with the lip seal wizard there. Just like that. Now, you want to get this cone over top like so, and get your forward clutch housing here, the whole entire mechanism. Lubricate that up just a little bit. Now you don't want to just drop it in there, you want to kind of walk it in slowly here. Always hold pressure back as you push in. So just pull back with this finger as much as you push in on the middle. Just keep it at like a suspended, just like that. Take your 4 main fingers here on all 4 corners. I may have to put it flat. Might be able to get it, so I can get it flat. Bam! You heard it lock in. After that, it's your overrun piston, and that sits in there just like this. This can be a bit of a booger. Lip seal tool comes in handy here. And you want to make sure this retracts. That's doing good. We've got to go over to the foot press and get this snap ring in place. I put these on backwards, like on the back of the snap ring pliers. And then I'll like push back on the back of it with my left index finger and walk down. This is your input to output shaft seal, and this is your bearing that your forward sprag rides on. Now we're going to go ahead and put our overrun clutches in there, and don't worry, we're going to put our input shaft after we assemble this housing. So first you want to start out with one of these steels. Now your forward clutches look like this with the teeth on them, and then the overruns, now you can see this don't have any teeth here. There's your forward. I know these look a little bit darker, but that's okay. They're flat. How dare you fart? We were live. Alright, this is your forward sprag. You just walk this on top of your overrun clutches. You don't want to put your forward clutch pack in there first, because then when you put this in, it's going to be extremely difficult to walk all that down in there and align all those frictions at once. So always put this in there after your overrun clutch pack. Next, you're going to have a thick plate here, and normally there's a dot on it somewhere. I don't see one on this one. Normally it's marked. We're going to put this one down in there just like so. And then there's a little wavy disc like this, and it's kind of bent. Let's see, where is that? Yeah, that's it. You might be able to see it on camera. It's bent, and that just absorbs the shift when going from park to drive. This is your forward clutch pack. When this is applied, you're in first. It's also applied in second, third, and fourth, but initially your low reverse and that forward clutch pack comes on. Correct. So now after the wavy is a steel disc. Then one of your new frictions, pre-soaked, and then alternate steel disc friction, steel disc friction until you reach the top of the friction. Now I know they're different colors. That's what they sent me. That's what Witt sent me. These are Raybestos. They're good clutches. I know some of you guys were yelling at me because I was mixing my frictions last time. I've never had an issue with that. Some of you guys believe in that really crazy voodoo magic, and Draw a line. You got to draw a line somewhere. Now this is premeditated, or pre-iterated rather. This clutch pack, as long as it's not below that bottom line, and as long as it's not above where the snap ring rides, you're good to put the snap ring in and move on to your 3 and 4 clutch pack. Here's your snap ring that holds in your forward clutch pack. This is a pretty tight one, so you want to walk it in on all sides. Makes it a little bit easier. And we're going to air check this in a second, just to make sure. And get all of our, looks like some old clutch residue on that snap ring I didn't catch. Okay, so we are building a 700 R4, but we are using a 4L60E 2001 and up 3 and 4 applicator plate here. After the plate, you can go directly to a friction. On your other 700 R4s, there's 3 plates in the bottom. One goes over the applicator shell, then there's one that sits above it with a ridge, and then there's a flat. Then you can put a friction, but in this, necessarily you want, and I've found it's better and more durable just to use the one thick one. It's just a better design. Already pre-iterated, or we already predetermined the clutch clearance here a little while ago at 30 thousandths, and that's what I put in each and every one of my 4L60Es and 700 R4s. We are not going back with the return springs either for the top plate. Now we went back with a steel that was 5 thousandths thicker than this one, and so we're going to put that one in. Reposition our clutch pack there. And we're going to get down under there and make sure we pry this snap ring up so we get the right reading. I see a lot of guys messing this up and thinking they've got the right clearance in this clutch pack, and they don't. That's all you need. You don't need freaking a lot in this thing. If you get a lot in this thing, it builds freaking heat. It won't apply all the way. These 700 R4s have got to be tight when they get rebuilt, put back together. That's nice. I like that a lot. Alright, here below your input shaft on your forward drum, we've pressed this back in and Loctited this. We're going to go back with a 70 shim, and then this bearing faces black side up, the silver side faces down, just like so. Now we've got 4 Teflon rings here, and we've got this tube that helps us get those on. Looks like there's a little fly on there. Let's wipe this thing off so we don't get any crap down in the landings there. And then you just go down. There's one. There's 2. 3. 4. Now I go and I'll squeeze these around as much as I can. And then we'll use our resizing tool here to go over top of them. This thing looks like it's seen its better days, and it has, but just keep pinching them. Here is your Corvette servo. Now I like to start out by putting my spring inside of my housing first, and then my cap here. After my cap, I will put in my pin, walk that all the way through the back, then you'll get your spring, your retainer ring, like it looks like a washer, and then your E-clip. It looks just like this. Gotta push down and push in. Now you want to put a little bit of pressure on the spring just to make sure that this pin is fully contracted together. There's no walk in this whatsoever. There's no noise. So the band's not going to apply by itself. A lot of times when the spring wears out, this servo pin can walk into the case and it will actually apply that 2nd and 4th gear band. The teeth, and go ahead and walk that snap ring into the groove. Okay, we got our servo here in our hand, we're going to cover it up with some Vaseline so these Teflon rings seat in their grooves. I know it looks like a lot, but that'll all break down in the transmission when we get it fired up. Take your Teflon ring here and seal that in. And take your piston and go over that ring. Next is your biggest Teflon ring in the pack. And it goes in the top just like this. Next is your green or red O-ring around your piston. And then this nipple faces up, so this sits inside of the cap. And there's one more Teflon ring right here. Oh, that's the wrong one. There we go. Sorry. Wonderful. Here's our cap. It goes over just like this with that tip facing up, so it sits into that indentation. And then we've got, excuse me, this blue O-ring here. It walks around just like this. Now I'll set this on the table just like so. Spring here, and just place it just like that. Alright, moving on to our pump here. And you can position this however way you want. I like to position it with the 2 on the bottom. Alright, here we have our pump slide. We've got a seal that goes inside of the slide, and then a metal retainer that sits down into the crevice right above the seal. There you go. Set that inside here. Now we got 2 seals that come over here. The green goes on the outside and the black goes on the inside towards the center of the gear body. We have this spring. This just keeps the pump slide aligned properly. And you can't put this pin in first because then you can't get your seals in. So you gotta put the 2 little seals in first and then you can put your pin in. Now, there's our pump rotor and our pump rotor retainer. We're going to start out with one of these rings. We're going to find the indention on the back of our pump here. There's 4 indentions, so this seats inside of the pump rotor just like that, and it sits down into the pump body just like so. Next, you've got 12 of these square pump vanes, and you want to rotate the gear body around where you've got a little space to get these things in. It makes it much easier. And then just spin the rotor 1/10 of a turn every single time you go to put one in. This makes it a whole lot easier, a whole lot more simple. Just like that, and you've got another ring that goes on top that keeps these square vanes flat against this pump slide. You shave it down with just a wire wheel, a stone wheel, or whatever you got. It drops down just like this. Now you got 2 springs inside of each other here that goes in here to your other side into your torque converter clutch. This cap goes over your torque converter clutch valve, and then there is a small retainer ring here, little snap ring. Make sure this is seated all the way. And then you can take your seal pick and just move back and forth to it. You don't want this reverse boost valve falling out of here, out of the bottom. So get you a little grease in there, position that right. Drop that down in. I use a 9mm. I use a 9mm socket. Go over top of the tip and then push down. So while you're holding that, you've got to take your seal pick over here at the side and push in to hold that reverse boost valve in place. Now here's our normal boost valve here, a 500 thousandths boost valve from Sonax. We're going to set that in there just like this on top of that boost valve, reverse boost valve. Alright, now we've got our snap ring here and our snap ring pliers. We're going to apply some pressure and push down on top of this 500 thousandths boost valve, simultaneously pulling our seal pick out, pushing down and locking that snap ring right into place. So the pump stator that we were working with here, we had sent this complete assembly off to get redone on a machine, and you can see here where that torque converter actually went out and chewed along this stator here, and I don't like that, so we've
Hang on, hold it up again.
Okay.
Damn. There it goes.
You got it now? See that torque converter ground into that stator? So we're going to go back with this one here. This one looks like it's in really good shape. Alright, so these two holes here align with these two holes here. And you want to put your stator inside of that just like that. Now you want a big hose clamp or a pump alignment tool. It's basically one big ass hose clamp. It goes around just like this. You want to make sure your holes are aligned there. You can go ahead and start your 5 pump bolts before you tighten down your pump alignment tool. That helps you out just a little bit as well. And you can put it inside of a converter, that also. Or you can put it inside the pump, or the case itself. No big deal. Okay, now you want to make sure as well you got your filter in here, and that filter looks just like this, and it's got a little O-ring on the bottom of it, and it pops in there just like that. This one's already installed. We're going to move up here to our Teflon rings up top here, and we're just going to plaster that with some petroleum jelly, and then put our pump washer on, and there's 2 indentions there that it sits into. Now we need to find our Teflon ring bag, which is right here. Here we go. Now the 2 blue ones are for $700 pump. And you can pinch these in just a little bit, just so they seat a little better. And just apply a little bit of pressure there. Now I've got a little compressor tool somewhere here. If you guys can find it, this is a Kent Moore J398552. And it sits over top like that. Leave it sit there for about 30-45 minutes while you build your drums. And by that time, it's normally good. And don't forget about your main pump seal around your gear body at the bottom. And now your pump is ready to go. We're going to do the 1-2 shift valve, 2-3 shift valve, 3-4 shift valve, and then the TV valve. And that should be good for this. Everything else looks pretty good in there. I've checked it with my seal pick here. You kind of go in and you can test the valves. And they're not notorious for going bad because it's a steel valve body. It's, you know, the 4L60s are aluminum and they just go bad quickly. The 1-2 shift valve. And I think this is considered the throttle valve actually. That returns nice. Now on the old ones, there's another mechanism in there, but this one's just pretty cut and dry. It's a valve in the top and then your sleeve.
You just use the Vaseline to make sure stuff don't fall out.
Yeah, use the Vaseline to just to lubricate stuff, make sure stuff don't fall out, like the springs. You know, when you're moving them around, and that one should fall just like right down in there, just like that. And these are called roll pins. It's like little sheets of steel rolled up. And we'll move on here to our 2-3 shift valve. And this one's kind of skinny. This is your 3-4 shift valve, so it just kind of gets a little bit smaller there. This one goes in first before your sleeve, just like all the other ones. Now, you got 2 of these left if you got your shift valves out, and the one with the little dot here on the back, this one goes into your 3-4. A little bit of grease on that, just to lubricate this. We'll put some transmission fluid in there just to make sure we're okay. Yeah. 3-4 shift valve is the smallest of the 3. This one could be a little booger to get up in there. There we go. See that? You might be able to see it, maybe not.
No.
But it's flush against this wall here. And then we got one more spring. And this one does kind of stick out the top, and so you've got to get it pinned up in there. And rub that Vaseline around the side of that too, just to lubricate it. And we got it in there. You want to slightly tap on it. You don't want to force that roll pin in. You want to see how that fell in? It's not a bind or anything like that. Now you can take your seal pick, push in all these roll pins on the back. They could come out, so don't push them in too far. It's not like the 350s. You kind of want them just below the surface, like that. Nice. So your 1-2, 2-3, 3-4 shift valve is in. Now if we can get this in the camera like that.
Okay.
There's your 1-2 shift valve.
I can see that good.
2-3 shift valve is here.
Okay, yep.
That works properly. And your 3-4 shift valve is here.
On the video, it's in that little square.
Alright, when this transmission came in, they did not have this return spring on the bottom of the TV valve. Now, when that spring's not on there, which from the factory it's not, the transmission will sometimes hesitate to downshift, and so it'll get stuck into a gear. And so by putting this spring on here just like this, we're going to walk it up. Now that's on there. And always there's a smaller diameter side. The smaller diameter side faces up towards the top. So it sits down in there just like this. This faces up towards the top. Alright, now this is going to be able to return this TV valve down here back up, and it's going to allow the fluid to bypass, and it's going to allow it to downshift. Just a notorious problem, so they do include those in the kits. We're going to drop this down. I know you guys can't see this hole, but we're going to drop it right down in there, and we're going to walk it into its bore using the seal pick here. Let's see if we can't get a shot of that returning bouncing up and down for you.
And you're looking about right through this little window right here. Got it.
That returns. That's nice. Now, this is our new throttle valve from Sonax, and again, if your 700R4 is stack shifting, if it's you know, shifting super early, no matter how tight the TV cable is, there's a good chance that this plunger valve is worn out and it needs to be replaced. It's very simple to replace, and you can do it, you know, with the valve body still in the vehicle. You know, you don't have to take the valve body out for that. You can pull it right out. I put a little. Okay, we got our new plunger valve here, and we're going to put our new spring on, and you can see over time that this spring, it absorbs that spring rate and it gets shorter. So over time it'll squeeze and you'll lose pressure that way. You'll have to tighten your TV cable tighter and tighter and tighter to get the desired shift points. So going back in with a new purple TV line spring. And I'll put a glob of Vaseline on that, and all this breaks down as soon as it gets warm. It's no big deal. And also that way it doesn't fall out. And just take your time here. You don't want to jam it in there and mark up your bore or anything. Just you can take a, I believe it's a 5/8 here, and put over top like this, and then just slightly tap. God dang it, Cody. Burped right in my face.
No, I did not. I burped
did.
over there and walked forward.
It hit me. I can smell that hamburger. That hamburger. God. All right, you got 2 roll pins here. Okay, these are 2. These are 2 that go in the TV section are smaller than all the rest. One goes here into that little slot. Just hit it with something flat. Looks like somebody's been in there before digging that out. I normally take 2 little screwdrivers and pop it out. It's pretty simple. And it goes right here. And you want to make sure that your plunger is positioned properly. Because if not, it'll walk and grab, and then you won't be able to get your plunger out because the plunger will be scraped and scored against the bore. That feels like it's not in there all the way. So let's... And I know it's a claw hammer, but I don't care. That's seated all the way in. I am reusing the same roll pins, so they are pinched a bit, but it does not matter. It's alright. No big deal. And you want to get it over here and test it one more time. That works really good. Now we're going to take 2 check balls and put them down here in the bottom. I only run 2 in mine. Here and here. Now we're going to have to flip this up to get it onto the transmission, so I'm going to take some Vaseline and cover up these check balls so they don't fall out when I pick up the valve body to flip it over onto the transmission case. And this breaks down super quickly. Then I'll take my lip seal wizard and go around the outside.
2 trailer park girls go round the outside.
Round the outside. Round the outside. 2 trailer park girls go round the outside. Anyway. Happy 4th of July, everyone. You guys will probably be seeing this in about the 6th. Alright, here's your spring perch, and then we need to get our foot press and get the snap ring installed right there. Okay, now you've got a beveled plate here, and it goes up like this. So the top is kind of dished at a shape that faces up towards your clutch pack. You don't want to put it like that because then your clutch pack clearance will be off. And then a steel disc, little key tip, steel disc after any kind of wavy or beveled steel, you never put a friction on a bent steel, because it won't apply all the way, and it'll torch that friction real quick. Everything's got to be flat for a friction to ride against it. So we're just going to alternate here all the way up to the top, and we're going to end with a friction here in a second. And then all this is pre-iterated, predetermined. Unless this is super low, way below that snap ring groove there, then I don't ever worry about it. Sometimes you'll get one in where it's really low and the clutch pack is like, you know, it's kind of loose. You can find a steel if you need to thicken it up a little bit, and it'll bring it up to the top. Let's find our snap ring here. Now this snap ring is flat, Very skinny, and it's got 2 square ends. Bam. Ready to go?
The skid plate that goes underneath your cross member.
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out what size it was.
Yeah.
Walked over to your dad's desk and saw a socket. I was like, that looks like it's it. It's a 13.
13.
I thought it was a 13 and a half.
Hey, it works. You're learning
I
quick.
was like, dang, that's right.
I got it. God dang it, got it right. All these seals are square. There's no lip to them at all, and it just sits right down in the case. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Now you see this little crevice here in the case, right there. Yes, that little area there. That little tooth here on your piston, right here. I know it's blurred out at the moment. Let me see if I can. There he is. Now this piston has to lock into the case down in the bottom. And also your parking lever, you can see, will be matched up over here as well. I like to wiggle it. I like to wiggle it side to side just a little bit, just to make sure that's seated all the way, and that's not coming out of that tooth and out of that crevice. You've got a spring perch that sits here, and there's a snap ring that locks into the case down inside here. You will need a low reverse tool here, and I'm gonna have to prop the transmission up just a hair. Okay, we've got our spring perch compressed down in the bottom. Now we're going to take our snap ring here. We're going to try to get the top started first. I apologize if you guys can't see everything. I'll get the top started first, and then the bottom is pretty difficult on these. 350s are a lot easier. But just make sure that thing is absolutely locked in, and then go around with your screwdriver and twist the side. Make sure that snap ring's locked all the way in, and then we'll remove this. And you can see here that snap ring is locked all the way in, and the openings are right here. Here, I'm going to put a little bit of Vaseline on that, and then I'm going to drop my bearing right over top of it, just like this. That'll hold that bearing. And now we're going to put that right into the case. We've already put our brand new case bushing in there as well. Okay, this bearing here, it's got little prongs on the top of it. The prongs face down into the parking gear just like that. It'll sit in there. And then next is your lower planetary. This is in there just like that. Alright guys, first things first here with your low reverse clutch pack is this wavy. This wavy has bends in the plate, and this just absorbs the garage shift from park to drive. There's a little mark here, and the mark goes right down at 6 o'clock. After your wavy, steel disc. Always after a bent or beveled steel, like a wavy itself, always a steel disc, just like so. And next is your pre-soaked low reverse Raybestos frictions. And you alternate until you have 5 frictions and 5 steels. Now, in this lower right corner here, this anti-clunk spring sits in the case just like so. Flat end on the left, that actually is flush with the case, and the end on the right is a 90-degree line there. We've got about 75 thousandths here on the clearance, so we're going with a 25 thousandths to 35 thousandths center support. Now, this is your biggest snap ring in your 700 R4, and it needs to straddle, the opening needs to straddle that anti-clunk spring. Just like so. Alright, next you want to put a little bit of grease here, Vaseline, whatever you want, there on top of that, so this washer seats all the way, and it doesn't move whenever you rotate your transmission around. Next is your sun gear that's connected to your sun shell. And then next is your hardened sun shell. Next is your 4-prong brass washer. After your 4-prong brass washer is your ring gear. That looks good. After your main ring gear, you're going to take your planetary and get your bearing on top of it just like that and drop it in nose first. I know this is an old style planetary. It was just in good shape. The 2 dots indicate that this is a pre-auxiliary 700 R4 upper planetary. You want to feed your output shaft up and through your transmission here. Until it bottoms out like that.
Oh, come on, bitch.
Alright, now your snap ring goes in here just like so. Cody's cussing. His dad's going to yell at him. And I just choked. I pivoted. I got it. Now you can see this end here of the inner piston, or the outer piston, is up higher than this side, so it's like cocked in the bore here. And this is a common issue for these cheap Corvette servos. Now you buy them from Transtar, you get them from WIT, they're both the same thing. They don't make the, you know, if you get lucky, you can have an OEM new stock style. Sorry, it's 4th of July night. We're down here working, making money. That's how the big dogs roll. We don't go out and shoot fireworks like little kids. We stand here and work. Anyway, yeah, so I've got to pry this out somehow. I'm going to take this centerpiece out, and I just changed the whole case out because I was like, you know, sometimes there's bad energy connected to things, and I just wanted to start fresh. So I've got a way nicer case here, in my opinion, just based off the looks of it, and this capsule tested really well. I did want to show this really quick too. So we're going to get that at a later date, but this right here is how it's supposed to feel. You're supposed to be able to retract that back and forth, pushing on it in and out when after you get your snap ring, you know, installed with your cap. And all that goes in as once, like I showed in that last video, just right before I cut it off. But yeah, that's what it's supposed to feel like. You're supposed to hear your check ball bounce up and down when you push that in. And yeah, I'm happy with that. So we're going to move on to this, what is it, the sun gears next. The input sun gears next. And we'll put our drums, our band, and our pump. Alright, next is that input sun gear that I was talking about. Goes in there just like that. Now on the 4L60Es, that's attached to the forward sprag assembly. Alright, now when you're installing your drums, you want to twist and lift up. You don't want to just drop them in there and bend the friction plate. Lift up and walk around, wiggle it around a little bit, and once you're fully seated, you'll be able to lift up on the input shaft just a hair, and that indicates everything's in there properly. Sorry. Now this band can be a little bit tricky. The teeth go on the left side. Find my pin. Okay, find my pin. Now I don't want to flip this up too far because that band will fall out, but you can see the pin there is locked in. We're going to take our complete pump assembly and install this very, very shortly, but I need to find a pump gasket very quickly. And here we are. We've already got our seal. Nope, not this one. There's another one. Ah, yes, with this little shoulder right here. That's the preferred one. The other one is only for 1982 to 1983 models. As long as you can see that. Can you see it? Yep. Okay, good. Great. Now, you can put a little bit of lubrication here just to get that gasket seated on the surface properly. And line all your holes there. Shoulder goes up to the left, top left corner. Now you want to take a small screwdriver and put it inside of your pump just like this. I put it above the two little holes that we talked about earlier while we were putting our pump together. And that's the upper hole here. Now we got our seal here on the side, and we've got our washer on the bottom. Okay, so I did want to point out that there is O-rings on the bottom of these bolts. I always replace those. It comes in the kit. Those are torqued down. Now I do put a little bit of Loctite along my seal here, and this is what I have done for years. And this prevents this. It just gives it a little extra. See, that thing's old and worn out. How it just pops off like that. So we need to put a new one on. See that? That joker's got some snap. So you can hardly pry that up with a screwdriver. That's tight. Yeah. That's just your parking lever. That's your selector arm for your manual valve. And you got a 15mm nut there. You want to rotate that parking gear over where you can access this back hole here, and I like to put some grease or some petroleum jelly up in my socket and then walk it down just like this. That way I don't cross thread anything and it goes in smoothly. I mean, gerbils are kind of cool. I wouldn't sniff one though. Some guys don't, but I do put a check ball down in the case to block this.
Did too much yerba today.
I had a good time at Applebee's. Get some Vaseline and go over your surface here. That way your gasket seats properly. You want to use the one with the lines on it. That indicates that it's auxiliary, and this is C stamped for case. Get this lined up best of your abilities and put on your plate. And we have drilled out third, fourth, the band release, and second gear we're going to leave the check ball out of. V for valve body, and then I like to put this on and then put two bolts just kind of in the middle, or even on the side over here. This is your kind of your alignment hole. It's got like an oval. It's an oval shape, so you always want to make sure that this one's tightened down first. Okay, so normally you got to put some. Normally you'd have to put some grease here to hold this check ball in place, but this one has the built-in capsule, and this sits down just like this. Now you're going to want to take one of your 8mm you were lining your plate up with, because I was stupid, used two of them, and that goes right here. Now this one's special. This one has to go back in the spot for the auxiliary port. It's normally painted a color yellow, as you can see here. And you've got two shorter ones, and these are the same size as your accumulator here, except for the one on top. The longer one, and the longer one's the same size as a 4L60E manifold pressure switch 10mm bolt. Fun fact. and obviously the same accumulator, you know, 4L60, but you get what I mean.
Yeah.
Everything should be free. Just put another bolt into place there. Like that, but that'll fine. Alright, I like to go ahead and start by putting that TV mechanism on there, your lever, and these two bolts. And then I'll go around the external part, like all the way around with these bolts. And I'm going to screw these in all the way down by finger. Click it. Alright, we got a brand new lockup solenoid over here attached to our wire harness. We did replace the plastic sheath there. There's a little tooth that locks this into the valve body right here. Now we got to get our forward clutch tube. It goes to your auxiliary valve body from here over here in a moment. But this is what your wire harness looks like plugged in over here. Bolt that holds it in here for this to keep this off the top of that accumulator. And then your new wire harness over here, two 10mm bolts, small. Okay, now this tube runs from this auxiliary valve body over to the pump, and there is an indentation cut out in the case for this tube to reach the pump here. In the pre-auxiliaries, this was just flat out. This crevice wasn't cut in here, and this is for your forward clutch pack. Okay, this is your yellow bolt that goes into your auxiliary port here, and here is your little bracket, one of the two, that holds on your auxiliary hose. The other one wraps around the hose back here. That valve body bolt sits in there just like this. Now, this is all set up properly. We need one more bolt here and our washer to hold our wire harness into place. Alright, let's do a check on everything. The valve body bolts are torqued down, the accumulator cap is torqued down, auxiliary valve body is torqued down. We've got both of our brackets here to hold the tube on. We've got our lockup solenoid in. We've got all of our wires connected into our ground, into our, I believe that's a pressure switch, and we're ready to put the filter on, and the pan gasket, and then the pan, and then we're going to move on to the tail housing, throw our governor in there, and we're going to be done. Alright, here's our filter. Alright, here is your valve body gasket. Here's your valve body gasket. Now, key tip here, you cannot block off this exhaust port from your servo at all. I see a lot of you guys freaking siliconing these pans, and it's a bad day if you got a silicone pan. Just get a nice Velcro or fiber gasket, and it works fine. Now on the servo cap here, I just put some Loctite around it. And You want to make sure this moves side to side just a hair. Alright, so I know this case looks kind of rough, but I've got the dipstick tube and the TV line blocked off, and I'm going to sand this all down and primer it. This is going to be the end of the build video. I already have about an hour of footage here. As you go over your transmission, make sure that you have your input shaft seal and your retainer ring on your pump seal. Make sure you got your dipstick top hat in and your TV cable seal as well. We did lock tight the tail housing seal and we did lock tight the governor cap. This has been another FSP Transmissions video. I'm Tyler.
And I'm Cody.
We'll see you next time.